here's Brody Brazil.
You have indeed clicked on a video where I'm going to show you how I make videos here for the YouTube channel. And by the way, I really do appreciate all the compliments about my presentation style and delivery and kind of the templates that I've fallen into here on the channel in terms of producing content that you get to enjoy. There is a formula to this now, and yeah, this is a template. Like, that's the actual template I use here. Some of you have noticed there are different color schemes. If we're talking about something that necessitates purple, I've got that. Pretty much every color and pattern of the spectrum here. Red and blue, that dark red and blue. You've probably seen all of these before on different videos, but yeah, this is kind of where it all starts. I'm here in the home studio. This is a place that I have constantly upgraded for the last 4 to 5 years, but especially lately, I've got it kind of really fine-tuned and dialed in. So I come in here, I don't waste a lot of time, I get right to making videos, and let me show you how it always starts. It always starts, a video does, with an idea. And that idea can come from a personal observation, just something that's rattling in my brain. Sometimes, and I really do appreciate this, the idea for the video comes from the comment section. Hey, Brody, you should do a video on this. And it's not all the time that I'm able to take up that idea and do something with it, or it doesn't always make sense, but sometimes some of the best videos come from ideas in the comments section. Other times it's breaking news or media coverage. It's something I'm scrolling through on social media and I say, you know what, I've got something to add to that, or I think I know a different way to present this information that people might appreciate. So sometimes it comes from media coverage, but I'm always kind of aiming here on the trend to cover stories that maybe nobody else is onto yet, or stories that I'm using my background and experience on to kind of add to the conversation. I don't want to just repeat what everybody else is saying. I always feel like a good video from me to you is something where I can add to the mix and hopefully put a personal touch and a personal polish on this topic and on this video. So you got to have a good idea for starters. Then you have to turn that idea into a story. And for me, it's figuring out, well, what are the most important elements? And obviously I'm going to put this in a notes document and then I'm going to put it in this Keynote presentation, but what are the most important elements? Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? Is it linear, or do I have to kind of touch on this first and then maybe that second and kind of navigate my way through the map here? But figuring out what the most important elements are, then putting them in order. I also obviously want to include the best visuals and images and videos. And by the way, I should take a step back here and explain. In a second, I'm going to show you production-wise, like how I do all this and what do all these buttons do and the equipment. So if you're wanting to see the technical side of this, I'll get to that in just a second. But first here, I kind of wanted to cover the producing side of this, how I produce this content first, and then eventually how it gets turned into a video. I want to highlight the key points here. That's what I do with these presentations. I don't want to put too much on the screen. I want to make this digestible. But I also really want to make sure that I'm suited to add some insight and perspective. And I want to line this up so that, again, I'm not just repeating what somebody else is saying. I'm showing you what the story is from different perspectives, but then I'm adding my own 2 cents into the conversation. Okay, the next thing I do is I literally make this Keynote and I can edit the Keynote. I mean, if I took out that right there, I play this back, I mean, it is literally as simple as that right there. Let me go back and fix it because, I'm just a perfectionist. Make the Keynote. All right, so I've got that document. It is a template. By the way, this is literally just looking at my computer screen. If I take myself off here for just a second, this is literally me on the computer right now. So I throw that up, I throw me over it, put a little border around everything, and this is basically what it looks like. I'm using a foot pedal down below here to change the camera so you can see that you want to see me, you want to see the presentation, you want to see the GoPro. I do have to hit a button for that, but I can customize everything I'm doing here with these stream decks and change the cameras. Anyway, back to the Keynote presentation. I have to have this Keynote designed out and orchestrated so that it has some flow and it has some direction, right? We've got to start somewhere. I've got to introduce everybody to the story. I've got to show you in order what's exactly happening here. I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm not trying to take, too much longer than 8 to 12 and maybe 14 minutes sometimes. But this presentation, what it helps me do is get through an 8 to 15 minute video with no script. Like, as you can see here, I'm not reading anything. The camera's over there. There's no teleprompter. I mean, I could put words up on on a screen right below the camera. I could do some reading, and I've done that before if it's a serious situation, but 99 times out of 100, I'm just talking to you straight into the camera. But I am using this Keynote as kind of like my notes for the presentation that I'm delivering. So it helps keep me on target. It helps keep me in order and on track. I want to make this Keynote easily digestible, again, so that the topic has a headline. It's got some information below. Sometimes I'll even highlight keywords just to make it super obvious, because I know that some people, even watching a video on their phone or computer, they're multitasking. So I want to make this very obvious. And oh yeah, that last thing there is the foot pedal. I should have spent more time on that. Below this desk is a Stream Deck foot pedal, an Elgato foot pedal that's kind of like these Stream Decks here. I can program all the different buttons on them, but what it allows me to do is change cameras and do different things where my hands are free. I can also do it with the Stream Deck here on my desk. I have a Stream Deck XL here. I've got a separate Stream Deck for my telestrator. I've even got the Stream Deck Mini. I'm addicted to Stream Decks, but it's kind of the nature here of the home studio. It just makes it so that one person like me can do a lot of different things at the very same time. You also may have noticed that when I want to advance these slides in Keynote, it's a 3-button foot pedal. So I hit the button on the right to advance the next slide. I'll call it out when I do it next time. But I come in here once the presentation is made, and by the way, I should have explained this. I typically make the Keynote presentation on my laptop somewhere else, whether I'm maybe in my bedroom or when I used to be at work in the office or wherever, on the couch watching television. I can make the presentation and save it on the cloud. And then what I do is I come in here in the home studio, and all of a sudden that's on the cloud. I pull it down from the cloud. I put it on one of these. I have 2 Mac computers here in this desk. One of them is obviously playing out this Keynote presentation right now. The other Mac is solely for my telestrator right now. But I come in here to record the video, and the studio is always ready. I mean, to the extent of I push 5 buttons here, all the lights go on, the cameras go on, the equipment goes on, the computers already stay on. So everything is pretty much ready to go. It's the last thing I want to do is come in here and have to reconfigure the lights and set up a tripod and make sure the audio is right. No, none of that. At the volume of videos I'm doing, I literally want to come in here, turn everything on in one swipe, sit down, hit record, and go with my presentation. I should also mention that I take a lot of pride, and I think a lot of you know this. I take a lot of pride in how this channel looks from an audio and a video standpoint, and to the point where I have gone way overboard on audio and lighting and processing. And you know what? I'm going to show you just a little bit of that right here, right now. This is the Universal Audio Console program. Now, this goes straight in tune with the Apollo Twin X hardware that I'm using. But if you take a look at this software here, I mean, I'm using so much processing on my voice alone here. This is an SSL 4000E channel strip. You can kind of see that when I'm talking, it lights up, and when I'm not talking, it goes away. So there's compression here. There's gating going on here. It's actually expansion going on here. There's a little bit of EQ going on with the SSL. Then in the Neve 1073, I've got some more equalizing going on here. Ultimately, all of that goes through the Teletronics LA2A. So this is compression at the very end. And what this does is it makes sure that when I'm talking, the audio levels aren't too loud. They're not too quiet. That's why hopefully with my videos, when you watch them on your phone, you don't have to crank up the volume or crank down the volume, that it's nice and leveled out. Even if I'm whispering or if I'm yelling really loud, the compressor at the end does all of that hard work. Anyway, I just wanted to show you all of that behind the scenes because, yeah, to me, audio and video, it matters a lot, and how I present this, it really does matter a lot. Okay, so back to what I was doing here. How it looks, how it sounds, really important to me. I've kept this background up for quite some time, this rack of equipment that actually isn't even in use anymore. It's just for show, if I'm being honest. This background, the wood wall, the famous or infamous fake plant that's behind me, even the lighting that goes on it, you can kind of see how there's green lights just for that plant to make it even look more enhanced. There's a lot going on here. I have spent a lot of time just trying to make this studio look as good as it should. I want to present a professional image here, even if I'm just doing YouTube videos, because you know what? A lot of people are watching, and this stuff is my project. It matters to me. But I try and do these videos. Once I get in here, once I've made the template on Keynote, once I get in here, I'm trying to do these videos all in one take. I'm not trying to stop down after every sentence, just like every YouTuber does, or read off the teleprompter and then cut, cut, cut. I'm trying to do this as a professional broadcaster all in one swoop. And sometimes I'll do it live, but I'd rather do it recorded. And you know what? I do that because sometimes I get halfway through and I'm taking too long, or I don't like the points I've made, and I just say, you know what? I need to do this over. It's okay for me to do them over. In fact, a lot of times it's the very start. I have a very carefully crafted first sentence and I screw it up, or it just doesn't hit right, or my voice doesn't have the right inflection to it. So I start over. It's okay to start over, but I try and do these videos all in one smooth take. And if I need to make an edit, I absolutely will. But most times I'm trying to do it start to finish with no edits. And then eventually all I do at the end of recording one of these videos, I bring it into my editing computer. I slap on a little intro. By the way, I should talk about the intros for just a second. You know, the intros where it goes, here's Brody Brazil or whatever. I have got so many different versions of those. Like, you know what I'm talking about. What? Like this.
Here's Brody Brazil.
Okay, right. But like I've got dozens of different ones of those. Like, take a look at all of these. We've got Northern California. We've got across the country, different sports markets. We've got different sports. I've got a whole bunch of different options for both the intros and kind of the outros that happen at the end of the video when it tells you to subscribe to the channel and also recommend some other things. I've also obviously got those subscribe elevators that pop up on the bottom of your screen, like that one just did. But see, in real time, I didn't just do that. I put that in afterwards with editing. So everything in the end gets edited, but it's a minor amount of editing. Again, I want to do all the hard work and the camera changes and all this stuff. I want to do all of this in real time so that I don't need a whole lot of editing work at the very end. Again, once I'm done with the video, I need it to go up to YouTube ASAP. Okay, I'm about to advance the slide. So watch, you can see it here, maybe on this screen over here, but I'm about to hit the foot pedal. And look, there it goes. It just changed right on the screen. So the foot pedal is great. I didn't know if I was going to use it when I first got it, but I started using it a lot. Okay, so a little bit more about my studio. Again, the use of 3 different stream decks. The big one here that's connected to my A10 Mini Extreme ISO switcher by Blackmagic Design. This is where all the video and audio ultimately goes to and either gets recorded or live streamed straight to my network at home, the Ethernet, and then hardwired into the internet. I've got a Soundcraft Signature MTK12 mixer over here. This is mostly for mix minuses, other studio type things. If I'm broadcasting, I'm using this, but it also feeds all the audio into multiple different places. I don't want to get too technical in the weeds here. But I do use and need all of this. I mean, this is such a limited space here and footprint on my desk. If I had something that I wasn't using, quite honestly, I don't even have space for it really anymore. So a lot of times I put the telestrator, in fact, right here over the keyboard. I'm out of space with this small desk. So I do use everything. We've already talked a little bit about audio processing. Here's a little bit more about the multi-view and the different monitors that I've got here on my screen. So this is something my switcher produces over here. It's got all the different inputs. My camera, the one that I'm facing over here, that's kind of in the corner of the room, you can see it. It's got the GoPro camera, which I'm talking into right now. That's also here up on the screen. I've got a television box so I can watch cable channels or I can stream things. My Mac, my other Mac, something called a Geochron. I've got a playback system for video. So there's a lot going on here. I've got a main clock over here too, so I always know what time it is, and I can put TV on this. I can change all the different inputs. This one always shows me the computer monitor that I'm showing a presentation with, but all of this is customizable. So the multi-view and the monitors are very important to me. I haven't even really talked much about this yet. One of the coolest things I've added recently, and you know what, I'm just going to plug it in here in real time and just show it to you as I go, is this telestrator. It's nothing special. It's a Wacom tablet. It's like one that a graphic designer would use. You'll see it turning on here in a second. The screen's going to pop up. And it literally is as simple as this. So long as I've got the Telestrator app running on my other computer, I turn the Telestrator on. I get to choose over here the different color of pen. Let's say I want to do green. And there we go. I'm drawing on myself. And I'm drawing on my desk. And let's say I want to do red. You know what? It's Christmas right around the corner, so I do a red outline there. And then I'll change cameras here and that'll go away. But the point is, I've now added this telestrator to the mix. I know a lot of people think that I overuse this telestrator. It's because I love this so much. Like, to me, This is the ultimate storytelling tool that I can point out things like my Soundcraft MTK12 mixer, like the Universal Audio. Why am I crossing them out? Like the mixer, like the Universal Audio Apollo Twin X, like the ATEM Mini Extreme ISO, like the Stream Deck Mini, like the regular Stream Deck, like the Keychron keyboard, which is in there. I'll change colors here. Like the Stream Deck XL, like my microphone, the Neumann U87 AI. So it's great to have this telestrator. It's just one of the other tools that I've added to the production value of this channel. And again, I know I use it a lot, probably sometimes too much, but it just helps me kind of go through all the list of things here as I'm doing them. I shouldn't have used red, or I shouldn't use green. I'll use red. So I've gone through all these things. And then the confidence monitor is the last thing I haven't talked about yet. It's actually this screen that you can't necessarily really see, but the camera is kind of right behind this sound curtain right here. You can just start to see the edge of that monitor right over there. And what I have is a monitor that is right below the camera. So right now, I'm looking straight into the middle of the lens. But right now, I'm looking right below the camera, and you can't necessarily tell. So when things are on the screen, I can read right off the screen there. Things about my studio, the use of 3 Stream Decks, audio processing, the multi-view and monitor. So again, I can read all of this off the screen, or I can read it off the screen here to my right. And typically when I'm looking to my right over here, it literally looks as if I'm reading it right off the screen with you at the very same time. So all of this stuff, very strategic. Let me put the telestrator away here real quick. Okay, back to the presentation here. I think I'm done with this slide telling you about my studio. Up next, I'll give you just the quick glance at editing. And again, all I'm really doing is adding the intro, I'm adding the outro, I'm adding in some of those subscriber calls or elevators. Just every couple minutes, I want to remind the audience, hey, if you're not subscribing now, I would appreciate if you did. I also add the Here's Brody Brazil. It's all built in and baked in. It's just one clip. And again, I've showed you and told you before, I've got a lot of different versions of those. So I try and match, like what's the intro version and matching, how does it match the subject and the content of the video that I'm about to share with you here. I fix up the audio just a little bit, maybe adjust the volume, make sure everything is nice and leveled out. And then I encode the video, I upload it to YouTube, and I archive it here on a network server that I have at my house. I keep everything actually in a different room in terms of servers and electronics, and I just want to save all the videos so in case I want to reference something from the past, I easily have that file and that footage. And that's just the videos, right? I haven't even really gone into the thumbnails that I make and kind of the template for that too. I have a template for everything. A lot of the thumbnails look similar, and it's usually because I'm using the same Photoshop template and thumbnail creation process. I kind of go through a similar several steps in a row to create those thumbnails. And I also obviously try and beef up the description of these videos with some links and some timestamps. And I also try and schedule these videos to be daily. I try and come out with at least one a day, usually 7 a.m. Pacific time, kind of the start of your day, West Coast, or maybe early morning on the East Coast. But trying to be consistent with the timing and the daily uploads, and to always have a couple days in advance of ideas at least. Doesn't mean I've made the videos yet, and sometimes that's a good thing because changes happen, developments happen. If I make a video and then it's out of date, well, that's a waste of time. So I need to make sure that everything is being published in a timely fashion and it makes sense for what the situation and what the very latest is. And I also try and keep up with the comment section, right? That's also very important to the YouTube channel. It's not the easiest part of the job, but I try and sift through and see what people are saying, and I take the criticism, I take the compliments, and try and steer this thing in the right direction. So anyway, that's a look at the home studio here. I realize maybe I didn't touch on every single piece of equipment or device here. Maybe I'll save that for some other time, the technical side of this. There's a lot going on. I've put a lot into this home studio, but that's kind of been the fun part too, is that I've been able to craft a space and a setup that is exactly the way I wanted it. I didn't want that to come up, so I'll make that go away. See how easy that is? I've created a setup and a space that is exactly a custom fit for me. What do they say? It's a bespoke space. It's a bespoke space. Has anybody ever used that for their home studio? This is a very, stop it with that. Get out of here. It's a very bespoke home studio. The reason why I was literally hitting the wrong pedal with my foot down below the desk. Anyway, Hopefully you enjoyed that quick little tour. I'll add some cutaway shots here at the very end to kind of show you some close-ups of things, but really appreciate this. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Thumbs up here for me, this video, and this channel. Don't forget to subscribe. I would love to see you back here next time.